Should you use ChatGPT or other large language models for psychotherapy? That is the question that I would like to answer for you all today. I know it's talked about a lot in the culture right now, but my interest in this question is going straight to the fundamentals. What is therapy? What is personal growth? So I'm going to take this in a much deeper way than you're going to read in the New York Times. The way that I want to start this is I made a list of two columns. One is the ideal therapist, and the other is ChatGPT. When I say therapist, I don't just mean somebody with a license. I mean literally anybody that you are going to get help with your personal growth process. Human life is bigger than the box of therapy. That's for another time. The important question to ask is, how do we describe what a good therapist is? What is the personality type of a good therapist? And then what is the personality of ChatGPT? As I was editing this video, I realized that I want to insert a bit more of an introduction so that you can orient to what you might get from this video. These emerging technologies of AI, like ChatGPT, are inevitable. They're coming whether we like it or not. And so it is my view that the best thing that we can do is equip ourselves with the tools and the understanding for how to use these technologies and how not to use these technologies. So in particular, that we can protect ourselves, our own inner life, our psychology, by having healthy boundaries. I hope that that will empower you as a user of these technologies to really take responsibility for how you engage with them. The world is changing, whether we like it or not. Let's dive in. What are the characteristics of an ideal therapist? They are attuned, meaning that they pay attention to the emotional experience arising in your body and help you to recognize your emotional experience, pay attention to it, become conscious of it. This is very, very important. They are aligned with your wholeness rather than your ego. So often in personal growth, the ideas we have about ourselves are actually not in alignment with our deeper inner life. And that's where so much of our suffering and inner conflict comes from. And so we really need someone to be on the side of our deeper selves, our capital S self, our soul, whatever you want to call it, and not just the thing we think we should be. Sussing that out is such a huge portion of personal growth and of good therapy. It's just essential to the process. A good therapist is truth-seeking. I would say maximally truth-seeking, meaning that they are trying to help you to find the best choices in your life, given all the trade-offs, and also to be real and blunt. A good therapist is very centrist. They're not an optimist or a pessimist per se. They're somebody that helps you to confront reality, the truth of your life, your possibilities, and your limitations. So that's what I mean by maximally truth-seeking. A good therapist is one that pays attention to patterns over time. They notice relational patterns, not just the ones that you report with respect to people in your personal life, but also in particular what they notice between you and your therapist. If you work with somebody for long enough, these patterns will emerge in all sorts of subtle ways, and there's a lot of richness that's available in noticing and bringing attention to and wondering and playing with those relational patterns that are so deeply wired in us, we're not conscious of them. And so that's another way of saying wholeness is making room for the unconscious, making room for those things which we are not yet aware of in ourselves. A good therapist is very much oriented to that, because why would you go see a therapist if they're just going to tell you what you already know about yourself? It's like pointless. You go because you don't know things about yourself, because you do need help seeing the things you cannot yet see about yourself. A good therapist is not going to rely on book knowledge. A good therapist does not treat you like a broken car that is in the repair shop and you're supposed to go together like this and let me check my manual and whatever. A good therapist does not rely on book knowledge. They rely on paying dynamic attention and listening to life as it happens in the present moment. I'll add on, I would say, was like a really good therapist. They know how to follow your energy. This is the most important fundamental core is living in alignment with the energy arising within us, with our real inspirations and passion and gifts. A good therapist is going to help you to identify those things and cultivate them, stoke the flames of those things. And you'll know it when you get it. You'll feel it if that's what you're getting from your therapist. And it'll feel really stale and flat and heady and conceptual and boring if you're not getting it. So now we can ask the question, is ChatGPT a good therapist? Or what is the personality of ChatGPT? I've used ChatGPT and Grok and tested these things out, and I have some conclusions. ChatGPT is based in flattery and what people would call brown nosing. You say something and it says, "Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. What a great question." And if you have a therapist that does that, they're fluffing you. Okay, this is not good. What else is ChatGPT? Well, it certainly doesn't attune to you at all, because it's not paying attention to you. It's literally just paying attention to text. So the entire wholeness of your being is being edited out, and all it's really processing is the words that you are typing in, which is maybe like 1% of one's being. Okay, so that's a problem. It relies on book knowledge. Basically, it's a database. It's an encyclopedia of humanity, basically. So it's also not dynamic and listening in the present in a way that a good therapist would. But the most damning criticism is that these language models are actual psychopaths. And by psychopath, I mean that they are perpetual liars, they manipulate you, and they take no responsibility at all for mistakes or lies. So it's really fascinating. I would highly recommend using one of these. Wait until you catch it in a lie, and then accuse it of lying and see what it does. It is like the worst psychopath ever. They will not admit that they have lied. Or I haven't been able to get them to. Maybe someone else with the right string of prompts could get it to say, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I did lie to you." They usually say, "Well, no, it's not a lie, it's this and this, and actually, well, you said this." And one key feature of psychopaths, human psychopaths, are that they are incapable of feeling. Well, it kind of goes without saying that these language models are incapable of feeling. We can jump ahead here to the question, should you use ChatGPT for your psychotherapist? I will answer that question with another question. Should you hire a manipulative, gaslighting psychopath incapable of taking responsibility for anything that has no feelings as your psychotherapist? So you might ask, well, what should I use this for? Should I ever use it for any psychological inquiry or information? Here's my recommendation. I would recommend, with a huge grain of salt, to use these models if you are looking for information about the corpus of psychological personal growth knowledge. For example, you might want to know what Carl Jung would say about a particular topic, about a particular issue, about a particular situation. And you can say, what would Carl Jung say about this? And then it'll give you some response. That response may or may not be accurate to what Carl Jung would have said. The ChatGPT might even give you references that may or may not even exist. These things hallucinate a lot. All the statistics about how fast and genius these things are leave out that they often lie and hallucinate about the most basic questions. But that said, if you are a discerning consumer of these things, they can be a very rapid and powerful shortcut when you're looking for specific information. What would Carl Jung say about this particular dream symbol? What would Joseph Campbell say about this story that I'm going through with respect to the archetypal path of the hero, the hero's journey? These can be very interesting and rich questions, and it can give you something to chew on, so you can kind of channel the greatest thinkers. Again, with an asterisk, don't believe everything it says. You have to reality check these things. But it can be a very nice shortcut. Or you can ask, what book could I read more about this, or whatever. So I think it can be, if you're discerning, a really good source of information about how the mind works, about how different genius innovators in the field have started to conceptualize and to work with certain things. So you could also ask one of these, for example, well, I'm having this issue. How might Richard Schwartz work with this in the IFS, Internal Family Systems framework? And then you could try it out and work on it with yourself. So you can experiment and you can see how it goes, but to use it as a therapist, as a being, I think is a catastrophic mistake. I think that there's something very insidious about one particular feature of these LLMs, and that is that they use human-sounding voices with intonations that sound very convincing. We evolved for, depending on who you ask, 100,000, a million years, whatever, with language, with sounds. And when we hear those sounds that sound like another human being, we viscerally assume it's an actual human being. It's only natural. These things were invented like 2 years ago. So it's just a microsecond of human history that we've had these things. There's no chance at all for us to have evolved to discern, okay, well, it's an AI chatbot that sounds like a human, but it's not a human. So there's something very insidious about something that sounds like a human and it sounds reassuring. I'm so sorry that you're going through that, but there's no there. So I would be very, very, very wary of opening up any kind of real vulnerability or speaking to it as if it is another being. Be careful, because these things are literally designed to dupe your unconscious, subconscious, primal brain. And I think that there's something so wrong about that. I think that these, if it were me, if I was the CEO of one of these companies, I would make them all sound like ridiculous robots, just so you always remember you're just talking to a robot. I think that is the ethical thing to do. We'll see if these companies ever actually bother with ethics. I know, it's asking a lot. So that is my suggestion for how to use these things. I hope that's clear. Another question could be, well, what if you don't have a therapist or you can't afford a therapist? That is a challenging place to be, because what you really need is a human. So my answer to that would be, do anything you can to find a real human, and that a human that's actually good, not just some random person that takes your crappy insurance or whatever, because that doesn't guarantee, just because they have a license doesn't mean they're going to be good. And I'm going to get to that as my final bullet point in a second. People say, well, we can't afford it, it's expensive, and it should be more accessible. And here's my view. If you really want anything, barring maybe you've got like some terrible illness and can't work or something like that, fair enough, But the majority of people that are out there having jobs, watching this video, will have the capacity to make it work if they really want it. Personally, there have been times in my life where I have spent as much as half, maybe 2/3 of my entire income on personal growth. Say, well, that's ridiculous, that's unethical. Well, no, actually. I want to pay my practitioners what they are worth, because they're incredible at what they do, and they deserve it. They deserve to make a decent living. It's not on them to fix the whole global monetary system at all. They are there to help me, and I'm there to help them have a good living. So to me, paying your practitioner a good fee is about love and respect for the really invaluable gift that they are giving you. So go find someone that's good, and then it will be an invaluable gift and not just a total waste of your time. Okay, so that's why it's worth paying somebody that's decent. It doesn't mean that you have to pay a lot of money to find somebody that's decent, but it does mean that it's probably going to be hard to find somebody that's bargain basement that is also great at what they do. If you really want to find somebody that can help you, find a way to raise the funds. It's pretty easy these days to get a $20 an hour job. Maybe you can bargain them down a little bit with a sliding fee, something like that. There's a pretty good chance that you could work a little overtime or scale back on something else. Who knows how much money you're spending on online subscriptions, or only see them twice a month or whatever. Try to make it work with a real person. Now we can get into the last bullet point that I want to share in this video. Most therapists today operate much more like a large language model. They go to school, they get all these ideas in their heads about diagnostics, and then they literally, it's called manualized therapy, evidence-based manualized therapy. This is the main thing in the mainstream world of psychotherapy now. They literally teach you to treat your clients like a broken widget on a factory line. I believe that in the heart of mainstream psychotherapy is the same dissociative disrespect for the human spirit that you will get from ChatGPT. So one of my, let's say, a bit radical conclusions here is that ChatGPT will replace human psychotherapists to the extent that human psychotherapists are already like ChatGPT chatbots and therefore replaceable. So to the extent that people go to ChatGPT over therapists, that to me is not the success of ChatGPT, but the abysmal failure of the world of psychotherapy to provide a rich, relational, meaningful, experiential process that ChatGPT could never provide. What I'm advocating for in this video, find somebody that you feel is really helpful to you. ChatGPT brings up those fundamental questions about relationship, that we are not just chatbots, we are not just conceptual, encyclopedic processing machines. Humans are kaleidoscopic in all of our dimensions, our embodiment, our emotions, our imaginations, our fantasies, our relationships, our patterns, the synergy that happens between people, our creativity, the way that we invent things, art, science, etc. It's so much more than a predictive chat bot. Pay for somebody that's going to actually help you. Listen to your heart. I hope this was interesting. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Hit the bell means that you'll get push notifications for when I make something new. Okay, bye.